All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order of our new Human Affairs Committee for the 22-23 year. And I'll go ahead and do roll call. Cord Bauer.
Here.
Dr. Stewart.
Present.
Dick Field.
Here.
Rosemary Salas.
Here.
Tyler Bowden.
Here.
I'm here. Lisa E. Down. And Jill Schechter, as I said, won't be joining us due to illness. Pledge of Allegiance. Who'd like to lead the pledge?
Rick.
Rick is going to lead the pledge.
Always the low guy in the totem pole. Hand over heart, ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, minutes. I move to approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2023 adjourned meeting of the Human Affairs Committee. Do I have a second?
I second.
Minutes are approved. Item 4, special public presentation. We have 3 guests. First of all, I'd like to welcome Council members Victor Cabral and Rick Leffler, and also involved community member Donna Vadrine. So, gentlemen, would you like to start?
Yeah, I was just under public comments, or something. I'll take my 3 minutes or something. I won't take long.
It's okay. You can take as long as you want. So our city council members are here to help provide us some direction in terms of focus in advance of us putting items forth for consideration for our coming year work plan. So because we've operated in the vacuum in the past, so in order to help us gain some input from City Council, since we're serving an advisory role to City Council, they have kindly offered to come and speak with us.
Sure, I'll
So-
give you my thoughts.
Perfect, thank you.
And thank you for calling me Councilman Leffler, because our mayor refers to me as Karen's husband. But thank you, I really appreciate it. That's the first time I've heard it said in public. It's great. So anyway, I was just looking over your last year's work plan, which is the most important thing you have to do is formulate a work plan and then work it. And I just want to make a couple of comments on your former, because I hope most of these things are going to continue. But you have the Town Hall Community Resource Fair. I know you did one. I think you need to continue that. Maybe you can do it more than once a year, maybe a couple of times a year with the stakeholders. The next one I have is updating resource registry. And I can tell you that Tyler and I think we're working on this on our joint homeless subcommittee years ago. And I don't know where you are in that, but it's a different thing where you're not going to have a book now like we all, but having a resource where you can go to all the stakeholders and all the resources is really, really important in human affairs. And it's not just the homeless, it's everything on your work plan. Resources for the high school, for kids, or whatever. You need to put that together, I think would be really, really a great, great project. And then having it come to fruition would be even better. I know Tyler has some expertise with this. I think he would be a great guy on the subcommittee. And as council, we'll give them any help you possibly need. By the way, I see everything under here, you budgeted to 0 on everything. And I think we have some money that we can give you. I mean, public safety, we have a decent budget to do some things. We don't spend it very often, but if you have to do flyers or awards or something, if you have a budget for it, then it's just a rubber stamp. You don't have to go to the city manager to write a check. So I think putting something in here in your budget when you finally get to your work plan, something reasonable. Again, you don't have to spend it, but I think you should have something in there. Humanitarian award mentoring. This is one thing that I wish we would have gotten started by summer. I think this is a really, really great project. And again, I hate to sound like a redundant, but Tyler Bowden is involved with the chamber, the Rotary, the high school. He has connections with all those. And if you can get a mentoring program, especially like kids that want to get exposure to businesses and whatever, Tyler can give you those resources. This is like something you should be able to get up and running fairly quickly. Again, I'm going to kind of have a common narrative here is having the projects is great. Getting something finished and presented to City Council is even better. So think of these not as long-term, we're always like a think tank. Think about this as, let's get this, how can we get this completed and get it moved on? Okay, the 50 minutes drunk driving, was that Rosemary? Was this your Sherry's thing?
Yeah, and it just, the high school didn't pull the grant in time.
Okay.
So it's on him, so hopefully, we'll, our council member will help us let the guy at high school know because.
Mark Enmeyer
Yeah.
will be your contact
Yeah,
on
and he
that.
was real for it, so yeah. No, that
Okay,
was-
good. I think it's a great project.
So Rosemary's intention is the day the grant requests open, to get with Councilmember Enmeyer, to
I'll
get
get with him
the,
beforehand.
to get the
Yeah,
grant in, and on the day, pull the
I mean,
trigger.
it was all
and
filled
get the
out,
money.
everything, he just needed to sign on the dotted line and it didn't get done.
And I'm sorry, I said humanitarian award mentoring.
Yeah,
I was
I know what you're
the one I
talking
was
about.
talking
Yeah,
about
it's
was
the
the
mentorship.
mentorship
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
with
Right.
Tyler.
Right.
Is the one. Oh, the other one is good. I mean, I'm not saying throw it out, but I'm just saying I really like that.
Yeah.
Overall homeless strategy and best practices. This is the one that's all encompassing, and I'm thinking there's a possibility that the joint homeless subcommittee might come back at some point with public safety and human affairs. I think it was a real good partnership, and that you had the human affairs side that were more in touch with the stakeholders and strategies, and you had the public safety side that knew what was practical, especially when it came time to enforcing and all this. It was a real good partnership, so I'm hoping maybe that'll come back, we'll see. Either way, your homeless best practices, it's pretty well spelled out in here, although it's very wide scope. I would suggest maybe when you do your work plan, if you could narrow down what you're going to be looking at specifically, because I don't think this city council would approve this wording. I know I have some questions anyway. Please be a little bit more specific about what areas you're going into. You have complete flexibility to say what they are, and if that list is that long, it's that long, but at least be a little bit more specific in your narrative. And again, I would budget some money, have your staff kind of figure out what is a reasonable, you can look at public safety and see what we budget. And again, we didn't spend hardly anything, but we had some money we could go get if we needed to. We needed to promote something, or like I said, give awards or something, have special things. And so budget for something. And that's all I have.
Actually, the red light just turned on.
The time is on.
I would just share your issues. I think last year I went to the fair that you guys put on. It was very well attended by, you might have had like 30, 40 different organizations there. Not that many community people, so that's something that we could put more money into.
There's some budget that we're gonna ask for, just so you
Okay.
know.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But to that end, I mean, my concern, my argument is always that the federal government, the state government, the county government, and the city government spends billions of dollars combined to address the homeless issues. And there are programs throughout this county and the state. If you could help us understand what those programs are, how much there is, because there is massive. I mean, we spend in this state billions of dollars. I mean, it could be literally be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 per homeless person. So, and I don't think people are aware of that. And that's something I always, try to make clear, is that this community in San Clemente and the county spend massive amount of money, taxpayer money, on the homeless. It's not working, but we are spending the money. So helping the community understand what those resources are and the massive amount of money that we spend to address those issues, I think will help our community understand that we are doing a lot, and we're just not sitting on our hands here in San Clemente or in the county or in the state. I don't think it's spent efficiently, but it's still being spent. And so, having a list of those kind of items of just even for San Clemente, all the county programs, all the state programs, all the local, all the food programs. I don't know, maybe some of you have a little bit, but I'm aware of maybe half a dozen food programs in San Clemente. And so, and making it available to people so that they know. I think at your organizational meeting, there was at least 5, maybe 6 food programs. So to say that we don't do anything, And that's the argument I hear a lot, is that we're not doing enough here. We are doing a lot here in San Clemente. People just don't know about it all. When we get to the homeless strategy, again, my view on this, my personal view, is that the state has primary responsibility. And they devote a lot of money to the county, and that some of that filters down to the city, but not much. The city's role in the homeless strategy has always been to support the county and the state who have the resources. We pay our taxes, we pay our state taxes, they give some to the county. So it is a regional issue that we've got to take a look at. We've talked about it. I think this city council has sort of spoken on it. And we've looked at many regional solutions. So to the extent that you want to use your time usefully, it's going to be a regional solution that the city council is going to get behind. That's my personal view. And I think I read the city council pretty good. And we've actually gone out, this past week, we went out and met with other members from other cities and looked at a couple of different projects that are in the works. Mark wants to go down to San Diego and look at some houses. But none of that is for San Clemente per se. So you can look at it, but I would recommend that you strongly focus on regional to the extent that you're going to look at the homeless situation. Because if we're going to deal with it, it's got to be with the wraparound services, and San Clemente doesn't have a hospital, doesn't have psychiatric care, doesn't have the necessary wraparound services. So it's going to have to be a regional solution, in my view. So that's the recommendation I would give to you on that.
Yeah, just to jump, and that's what we're talking to council members, city managers in other cities. We obviously can't afford no city can afford a regional shelter on their own. We're looking for partnerships in Orange County to see if we can form a coalition, and so we can hopefully pressure the county to take more participation. AB 7, if that passes, the county might have to take more participation whether they want to or not. But that's what we're looking at. It's not little piecemeal band-aids, but a big, with mental facilities, the whole 9 yards.
Have you talked to them at all about Joplin Center?
Yes.
Because that place housed all the homeless during COVID. And
During
it's
COVID,
set up,
yeah.
you could put everything back there.
We have talked to them about
Okay.
that. And there's a couple other places that we talked to them about.
There's some possibilities in Orange County for the property.
Just, to apply to the future, do you see our job as providing you with information to make these decisions, or to search out new information, or what do you see the role of human affairs in this respect?
Well, to the extent you're going to be involved in it, and you identify it as one of your objectives, we have the homeless subcommittee that we're working on at the city council level.
Well, I think when your work plan comes, you're going to present a work plan to us, and we're going to look at that, and we are able to make adjustments to that work plan. I mean, we're not going to give you a work plan to work. You have the criteria. But when that comes, if there's something specifically working that you think that you can provide us with research and information, we will provide that back to you. It'll be pretty clear what you really need to pursue. Don't you think that's kind of
pretty much on.
Anything else?
No, I'm fine. The light's on.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions for our council members?
I have a comment. I was going to bring it up later, but because I'd like to bring it up now when you're here so we can get your response to it. I was involved in the community resource fair last year, and as you said, we had a lot of providers, but not so much as far as community members attending it. And I was kind of promoting that we didn't do it every year. And I was thinking, I'm also part of the Homeless Collaborative in San Clemente, and somebody there suggested that we do a homeless forum where we can describe the problem and then give some resources on solutions for the problem. And I went to a similar thing a few years ago, and everybody there thought it was fantastic. And I would suggest that we do that maybe instead of doing the resource fair, of doing a homeless forum.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was at that meeting and I offered that the city could do it as a partnership, we'll give you a place to do it and do all this, and one of your members said, no, we don't want to have the city involved, we'll just do it in the church. So thank you for that. Go ahead and have your homeless forum, the city's not involved. Thank you.
Well, we've since thought maybe it would be smart to involve the Human Affairs Committee. So please, anyway, that's my suggestion to the Human Affairs Committee, that we do a homeless forum.
The only thing I'd add to that is maybe it's a collection of all these resources in a book so that people in the community would know, hey, you know, I run into somebody, I know somebody that didn't have food, you know, these are the 6 organizations here in town, you know, one for seniors, one at this church, one at FAM, they all do this. So they could have at least a little direction with a phone number that they'd be able to access that information.
So theoretically, we could ask for a budget to get a book, a resource book printed,
Yeah.
Well,
and then hand it out at the
could it be
forum.
online? Could it be something you can pull up online instead of like a phone book? I just don't know if that's, you know.
Tyler's shaking his head, so it can be done.
Well,
Well, yeah, a microsite.
I'm just
Well, we
reading
know that.
the word plan itself. It talks about developing mobile-friendly microsites, which
Right.
may or may not be necessary if there are existing sites for the resources that are already available. But yeah, I would say as a millennial, having it online makes sense.
And this could
So
be-
trying to find resources right now on the current San Clemente website, city
Sure.
website,
It's hard to find.
is digging for a gold nugget
Yeah.
in a big pile of soil.
Yeah.
It's very challenging. So our as part of our work plan, we could talk about this in a moment,
Yeah.
but to get very granular and very easy, user-friendly, click to call, you know, just super simple, so that if anybody, I mean, most everybody has a cell phone. So if somebody can get to the site and they say, oh, I'm hungry, click
Food
that.
banks, and it shows
Yes.
each day of the week where they're at, because there's almost one every
Just to
day
make
of the
it
week.
super
Yeah.
user-friendly.
Yeah.
I know during our last session, they were updating the city website, so it wasn't the time for us to come in to be able to do that, but the time is right now. So I think we'll be able to do that moving forward.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so Stuart, we can certainly talk about the homeless forum idea when we go through
Okay.
some of the work plan suggestions, because that may be something that gets more people to show up. And, you know, if more people have access and they're open and receptive, why not?
Now, regretfully, I've got to go to the next meeting upstairs.
Yeah.
If anybody
Got
has
it.
any questions or whatever, most of you all have my phone number, you feel free.
And it may not be a brochure. I mean, there are some people too that are super seniors that don't use phones, or it's not easy. They're like,
Not me, Victor, I don't know about that.
They
I
use
can help you
flip
out with that.
phones.
I don't even have
Well, wait, here, I have 2. Let me give you one of mine.
Thank you.
Point well taken.
Bye, Rick.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. We
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Victor.
Thanks.
See ya.
We'll see you. See you.
Donna, did you have any comments?
And basically, I would like to have my 3 minutes when we're talking about best strategies for homeless, because I'd like to add to the conversation on safe parking, and that's something that I've been doing some research and some studying on, so I think that's going to be brought up today at Human Affairs, so I just kind of want to stay and attend the meeting as a guest. And
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, and I'm also interested in hearing Tyler's ideas on youth services in San Clemente. So I just want to be
Be a fly on the wall till you're ready to talk.
thank you.
Excellent. Deal. Okay. So under unfinished business and updates, we have the 22-23 work plan, and I'd like to review that so that we can give our new members some familiarity and our existing members a refresh, so we can talk about what we'd like to move forward with, what we don't care to focus on and move forward with, or how we might morph it and put it into use. And one thing that City Council did hand to us as we were transitioning to our new committee was to work on the possibility of being more robustly involved with the Homeward Bound program, and how Human Affairs could work with the existing resources to fully avail ourselves of what's available for Homeward Bound and try to reconnect people if they have, familiar connections or support systems that would be willing to take them.
What is your Homeward Bound program?
We don't have a Homeward Bound program.
Okay, we have a Homeward Bound at FAM.
Right.
In the last 2 years, we've sent 60-something people home, of which 30-something were from San Clemente. If you recall, when we had the North Beach problem, and they moved them all up.
Right.
Eric's son moved them all up to that lot.
Yeah.
And then they closed the lot. Well, we sent a lot of them home. So really, over the past few years, we've sent hundreds home.
So the 66 number, was that without the lot?
That's without the lot.
Without the lot, so
That's just the last
66
2
in
years.
2 years,
I think
okay.
that was over 2 years ago.
You're right, yeah.
So,
Are you funding this, or is San Clemente funding it, or is it a
So-
smattering?
no, we get funds from the county, and we use our own funds.
Okay.
So we generate funds. For instance, I run a golf tournament on August 7th. If anybody wants to play, we make $100,000. The
Yeah.
gala made $250,000. The Hunger Walk that we have in October makes $150,000. And with all those funds plus all the grants we get, we have enough money to fund these things.
Yeah.
So,
Once upon a time, I sat down with Mary Purdue,
yeah,
and we're talking about Homeward Bound when it first started.
yeah.
And Eric actually was providing some funds.
They were.
Yes, he was.
Up until
Yes.
2020. After 2020, we've received no funds
Okay.
from the city.
But,
Yeah.
so I have a question, Dick. Is that because for lack of asking, or
No,
because,
no, we've asked the city for funds. We asked them for CBGG funds.
uh-huh,
We got no funds this year. Do you know that?
no?
That was the.
We actually, we
the
actually were
funding.
going to allot money, but then at the city council meeting, it was, one of the council members said, rather than give it to them because we give them a break on their rent, let's take it away from them and give it to the Boys and Girls Club instead.
Got it.
So I
Thank
want to
you.
ask, that kind of goes into what I'm wanting to ask. So where did that money go? What did they do with it? What did the Boys and Girls Club do with it?
I don't think they have accountability once the grant's
Okay.
proffered.
It's after-school services.
After school
They provide
service.
stuff.
So just so you know, when we get CBDG funds from the city, we get them from other cities too, Mission Viejo, Laguna Niguel, San Juan, Dana Point. But the San Clemente is down to 7 cents. 7 cents, that's all we have left of CBDG funds from the city of San Clemente. And we use it for rental assistance and utilities. And going forward, as you understand what's happening in society today, everything's super expensive. If you go down the street to FAM, every morning, the cars are lined up on the street getting food. They never used to be on the street lined up to get food. There are more and more people. We have 11% more clients this June versus last June. We have 43% more demand for food this June versus last June. We're struggling to get food. We go to Albertsons, Trader Joe's, all the stores. We can't get enough food. So it's a real problem. And as we continue on this, we talk about human affairs. I'm worried about the seniors. We never talk about seniors. We talk about homelessness. There are seniors there not able to survive because everything's gone up so expensive.
Well, there are a lot of working poor.
Yeah, absolutely.
People that work minimum wage jobs, 1 or 2 jobs, and they don't even have enough money to buy their kids' school supplies.
But to go back to Homeward Bound, I'm sorry I went on a tangent, but the Homeward Bound program works. What happens, how it actually works is John Doe comes in as a client, and he's homeless, and he wants to. We find out everybody goes to a caseworker, and that caseworker reviews. And I don't know if you're familiar with all this, but it reviews what they need. They mentally, their addiction, whatever they have. But they want to go home, and we contact the family at home, Colorado, Washington. We've sent them away to Puerto Rico on an airplane. And we check with the family, then they want them back, and so we buy a bus ticket or a plane ticket, whatever, and we provide them clean clothes and food for a 2-day trip on a bus to Colorado, and off they go. And then we check when they get there to be sure they got there. with the family or the friends. And so that's how the program works. It's really pretty simple.
So is it,
So-
they have to, the family has to say, yes, we'll
Yes,
take
they
it
have
back?
to, we just don't put them on a bus and send them.
Okay.
No.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're on item B, right? Not, so we're, item A, I know the council members were talking about it, so we.
Well, we're on
outside of it.
A in a general sense.
Okay.
And then we're gonna drill down on the specifics.
Okay,
And then it will allow us to determine what we want to move forward into next year's work plan.
Okay.
And how we wish to morph it, et cetera.
okay, so then, just on that, item B, part of item A subject, Project Homeward Bound. If
I guess we
FAM
are on that
is operating
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
my question is, what is it that the city council wants us to do?
To see if there's any way to avail ourselves or
Get
to
more
help
go
people, to help
More
more
go
people go home. Because if someone doesn't go to FAM,
Right.
if they're not a FAM client, if they're living somewhere, unhomed, and they don't even know about these resources, how do they find out? And I know Troy and Carly do their best to approach people that may be interested, but we're seeing if there's anything that we can do to facilitate a more robust uptake of Homeward Bound and help more people, and partner with FAM to do so, and how we could potentially expand the reach of that.
We have the manpower and the ability to do all that, and to get the funds that don't require the city to fund it. It'd be great if the city did fund it, but they don't. They're not funding it right now.
Well, and here's an example, and I'm just spitballing here because it's a new thing, but to Stuart's suggestion of the homeless forum, maybe we have a Homeward Bound table and we promote it, and people that are interested, because word spreads like wildfire, and if we promote it and we go to the areas where there are people that might be interested in the Homeward Bound program and tell them about it, maybe more people will show up and say, hey, we need help. Just like at the Community Resource Fair, how many people showed up that needed help, Rosemary? Half a dozen?
Yeah, 5 that wanted. Yeah,
That wanted some help?
Yeah.
That needed
I took
housing or
Yeah.
food or some sort of resources. So,
And we actually have 2 or 3 families that designate funds that they donate to FAM every year for the Homeward Bound program.
Right.
that's fantastic. So we can, as we work through it, just if you could be mindful of the fact that City Council asked us how we could more robustly, partner with FAM, if that's a possibility, on the Homeward Bound program, and where it would fit in on the work plan. Just something to be mindful of as we review the items left over from
And
last
I can
year.
give you an update once a quarter, once a month, whatever you want, as to what's actually going on.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, just to give everybody a heads up, at City Council, they're agendizing us having monthly meetings of the Human Affairs Committee versus bi-monthly, so that we can get together, move forward, our subgroups, as we identify those in the areas that people are interested in working on. Subgroups certainly can meet, not, prior to the formal meetings, but we'll be meeting with each other once a month as a committee, updating where our work plan projects sit. And my intention, and whoever the new chair is, I don't know if it will be me, but what I would like to see happen, no matter who the new chair is, whether it's me or one of you, is to go to City Council once a month, once every other month, and give them updates on our work plan, if we have any suggestions or recommendations as a committee, and really kind of have more of a presence with City Council.
When would we, I'm the new guy here, so I get to ask dumb questions, but on the work plan, adding to the work plan or taking away from the work plan, does that happen here? Does that
Yes,
happen
this is,
between
and
now
then
and
we-
October?
And then we'll present
Okay.
to council.
How does
So-
that formally happen? Is it just
We'll all kind of decide, vote
okay?
on what we
But
want.
it's just happening now?
No, I mean,
That's what I was asking the same
yeah,
question.
well, do you want to
I
answer?
assume we're taking this home
Yeah,
and
and
then
then
coming
come
back
back
to
with
the next
ideas
meeting.
and stuff, right?
And
Yeah.
we'll all have our own input, right?
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Do you,
So-
I'm sorry, do you feel we can do more with Homeward Bound?
I don't know what the city can do, you got.
But do you feel there's more
Well,
people that
Carly and those people, interact with the homeless people, but usually they just bring them to us. And so, if somebody wants to go home, they bring them to us. So the city doesn't have the functionality of arranging all buses,
Right.
clothing, and food.
Okay.
to send them back, you know?
But if it was promoted more robustly and more people were made aware that the resource is available that might not know about it,
Right, that's
do you
what I'm
think that
wondering.
could maybe increase the number of people that could benefit from the
Listen,
program?
everybody who comes in is asked if they want to go home.
But I'm saying, what if they never make it to you?
Because I know, I've talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them, they, I don't want to deal with, I don't go to FAM, whatever.
I mean,
So there's
we've
a lot out
talked to
there.
people that say, oh no, I have enough food, I don't need to go to FAM.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they know all of the other resources that FAM provides.
Mhm. That's what I'm.
Or they'll say, I'm on the move a lot, I can only have my food for the day, I don't go to FAM, I don't need extra food.
Don't you think that Carly and Troy asked all their contacts whether they want to go home? And if they do, then maybe they
I'm
would
sure,
go to
I'm
FAM.
sure, they do, I know they do.
So,
I think it's probably a push more than it is driven by the person who's going home. I think it's more Carly and saying this is available. Do you want us to help you?
This is exactly, this is
And
the
then
easiest
if
thing
they-
for the
if
city
they-
or anybody.
Right,
Well,
to get, to have it
Pay
sent-
the money and send
get
them
them out of
home,
here.
send
Right.
them, back home.
Right.
I see a lot of questions. I see a lot of good questions, and it seems to me like we don't have all the answers now. But if we put all the questions down and the data, so we have a clear picture of what's happening now with Homeward Bound, then we can make a better decision as to how to move forward.
How do we make it
So if
more
we,
successful?
I would love to see a bunch of questions written down and actually answered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I have a question: do we have frequent flyers? Do we have anybody that says I want to go home? They go home. They go, oh God, I forgot I hate my mom, and they come back.
Yeah, how many come back? Do you have a percentage of that?
No.
No, okay.
We checked that they get there.
But no one knows that they come back, yeah, see that?
But they don't have a
that's the
GPS tag on them to see where they are at any point in
No.
time. There's no air traffic controller, right?
Because I've got family in Hawaii.
We'll send you home quickly.
So the other thing, because I've talked to Carly about this in the subcommittee that Councilmember Enmeyer invited me to sit on, and Rosemary was a part of that as well. And Carly has said, well, if I develop rapport with someone and I think they might want to go home or they might be a good candidate, then I'll approach them. But what about the people that would like to go home and they don't know about it? Or there are people that are living in San Clemente that, Carly and Troy might not know.
Eric liked to keep it under his hat.
I know
because
he did.
He thought it would be taken advantage of.
Yeah,
I know he
other
did.
people come in.
But
from
the money
other
was
areas.
never used.
Yeah, true.
So to that end, we as a body, as a committee, could make our recommendation and go back to Andy Hall through City Council as part of our work plan and say, what will the city contribute to this? Because we're told that there's a slush fund for Homeward Bound, and we can partner with FAM to offer these resources to more people. But how do we do that? What would it look like and feel like? I don't know, but it might be worth discussion. Why are you laughing at me?
I always had a theory about Eric, and that is he loves slush funds because at the end of the year, his books always look beautiful.
But that doesn't help people.
I'm right there with you.
I have to say,
They're
Andy
really good.
is very involved.
Yeah,
He's
he's-
very hands-on. And I've got to think if he believes in a project and will take it to council, I think we could get the funding and the support.
Yeah.
If I had to predict. And I think it's worth giving it our best shot. Okay, so here's what I'd like to do now is go through the last work plan, explain what the items are, then have you come up with your ideas for the coming year's work plan and bring those ideas back to our next meeting so that we can go through them as a committee, prioritize, hash through them, say, okay, we have 20 great ideas, what are our top 5? Because we can't be the jack of all trades, master of none, so where are we going to focus our efforts? And, have a robust discussion and vote and determine what we'd like to put forth for the straw man work plan that we're going to then submit to City Council. Does that sound reasonable?
It does. And if I could say, I also see on our agenda here in new business the consideration and development. So maybe we might have an opportunity to discuss it today, to some extent,
Right,
the new work plan.
indeed. For those that have ideas that they'd like to broach today, we can certainly do that, to your point, and then we can come back with additional ideas, for example, because Jill's not here, and she may have some ideas and some things she's passionate about. So we can bring that back. And I would say for each of us, perhaps narrow down your focus to 3 to 5 priorities, so that when you're coming to discuss with the rest of us, you've got your hot items to discuss, not 12 different things, but 3 to 5, if that's agreeable. Okay, so let's go through the 22-23 work plan, and we'll move forward after that. So the first item is the Town Hall and Community Resource Fair. Councilmember Leffler suggested that we have it twice a year. I think there are some other people that had some other ideas. So we can certainly, if it's okay with all of you, why don't we discuss it now to see if this is something that we're even going to move forward with or add into our ideas for next time. And here's Stuart's idea regarding the homeless forum. Because your suggestion was to substitute it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So tell us what the homeless forum would look like and feel like. Paint us a picture.
Okay, it would be educational as far as defining what homelessness is, saying what resources are out there to help deal with the homeless. The one that I went to before had advocates that were well known as far as providing services for homeless. For example, Illumination Foundation, the Friendship Shelter in Laguna Beach. Brooke Whites came and she spoke. And then people came and talked about in their cities what they had done as far as building permanent supportive housing in their community. And then they would give a presentation each, and then there was what they did is they gave a round table where people could ask questions, and then they would answer questions. Anybody had those, and that would be a good place we could address Homeward Bound as well.
Does anybody have any input on that idea?
I can say, so in 2019, the last time I was on the Human Affairs Committee, we did a town hall meeting on homelessness, and it was with Dan Bain and Laura Ferguson, council members that helped us put it together. And it was of a similar tone, I think, was just all about educating people on what the status is now, and maybe what can be done. It seemed at the time, we were educating a lot of people about Martin versus Boise and things like that, so it seemed like it was a valuable thing at the time. I can say I would support something like that. It's good for people to check in and see what the status is and what is out there available and what can be done. And I think at the time we had council members, we had the city attorney. I think we had representatives from FAM and Mercy House. I think Mercy House was our kind of contracted out provider for outreach at the time. So I think that was why Mercy House was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just reflecting on it, it seemed like it was a positive event. And this is in the same tone, it seems to me. It would be a good
Stuart,
thing.
you had it last year, is that correct?
We had a resource, with the forum that I'm talking
You're talking
about.
about a forum, or you're talking about the resource?
The resource fair that we had last year, but the forum that I'm referring to that I went to I thought was very valuable was maybe 4 years ago.
Oh,
It wasn't here, it was done at a,
Okay, but are we talking about that, or are we talking about a resource? That going
So
back to the-
Stuart wanted to substitute
Substitute form.
the forum in place of the resource fair,
Yeah.
but both are open for discussion.
Okay, the resource fair, you said you had like 31 vendors, and
I think there were 34 total.
34, okay. So, and you had only had a few people that actually came and
less than
partook.
50 came to,
How many?
less than 50.
50.
Less than
So I guess you have to ask the people that were there last time, the 34 people that came to offer services, would they be willing to do it again? I mean, maybe they said, oh, it's only a few people come. Maybe it's not worth it for them to do it again. You know what I'm saying?
So last
I'm
year,
looking-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well, I wanted to provide something that would give more to the community, more community involvement, and I just didn't see that as drawing as many people, another resource fair that we had last year already, than as opposed to a forum that people hadn't been to yet.
Yeah.
We generally have information that the public doesn't have. We don't have the information that the perhaps city employees have, and certainly that the council doesn't have. So I like a forum. Anytime you can, the residents should know. The residents should know, and everyone is curious about what's going on and what's not going on, and what's possible and what's not possible.
So to that end, I have an idea. What if we had a forum and we invited service providers in perhaps an adjunct room to set up so they're there and available so that those that attend the forum could then go find things that might interest them and avail themselves of services, and then we could promote a dual event and ask for money from city council, because we already decided that we were going to ask for money this year, and really promote it. You know, buy an ad in the San Clemente Times, have professionally done posters, put them in the areas where people are likely to see them, and really try to get a robust attendance. And perhaps because of the forum nature and the ability for people to ask questions and so forth, it'll be more participative and stimulate a better attendance.
So you're saying to have like the forum physically first, and then followed by the ability to go to the resource fair.
Indeed. Have the resource provider set up in a room, do the forum, and then after the forum, people can go around and avail themselves of whatever resources that might be interesting for
So
them.
basically the same time.
Same time, same day.
Well, if it's the same time, people are going to be they'll be at the forum, because the forum is going
Well,
to be.
what I was thinking is give a chunk of time allotted to the forum, and then have the service provider set up after that so that people
Right,
aren't siphoning off, and then they can peel off when the forum's concluded, and we give it 2 hours, let's say. And I don't know if that's the right amount of time, but let's say 2 hours, and then the people that have attended the forum can adjourn, go walk around all the tables, see if there's anything interesting and useful, and pick up the brochures or talk to the people they'd like to talk to, and then
Interesting idea.
they go home.
Is there another room that we could use for the forum and then have the resource people set up in the other room?
It seems like we could at City Hall.
Community center, we have the big room and the small rooms.
Right.
Fireside room.
Yeah.
I think we could do it.
Yeah.
And then really make a gigantic splash.
Mhm.
So not only are we
So is
talking,
this going to be just homeless, or is it going to be other resources? 'Cause
Well, I
we
think
have
it needs to be-
it needs to be
I think
everything.
it's more. Yeah, I think
Right.
it's more like the people that are on the edge, the working poor that you're talking about, and they're wondering about services because they fall through the cracks as much or more than anybody else.
well, what
So
about
if you have
special needs people?
Yeah, because
or
this last one
elders?
we had services for everybody.
Oh yeah, well if you
Right.
I can see it working. I can see it working, but you have to advertise it as such. So if you are somebody, if you know someone, if your family member, come see this. There's information and resources. That makes sense.
So we could not only include homelessness, we could talk about people that are marginalized or at risk of becoming homeless, or people that are food insecure and hungry,
Seniors.
seniors,
Stuff for them.
special needs individuals. So
That's not because I have white hair.
I see some dark.
I may have white hair, but nobody will ever know. Only my hairdresser knows for sure. In any case, I kind of like the idea, the shape this is taking, and we can certainly discuss this as part of our work plan when we come back together. But just something for you to chew on, how we could make it more robust. And I mean, it really would excite me to offer homeward bound resources and find out what the city would be willing to contribute at this event, because people will know if you want to go home, show up and we'll help you go home.
And I'd like to see, I know there's almost every day there's a food bank between St. Michael's, there's one at the outlets Thursday morning. We need to list all those so people, it's not just FAM, so people know, because some people, like a couple of those people we've talked to, I only carry food for a day or two. So then they know where to go each day.
Right.
Trust me, they know. Because they show up at our place and they show up with all the different places. Saddleback,
Okay.
they know
Yeah, I mean,
exactly
everyone
where.
has,
everyone
So
knows
sometimes, I think sometimes we talk to newbies that
Yeah.
don't have the lay of the land yet.
or they don't want to walk
Okay.
up this far. They stay down there.
Right.
And it's easy
Yeah.
to go to the outlets or to St. Michael's or whatever.
The other thing that I could see that's, I know, a subject near and dear to your heart, Dick, is veterans and what resources are available.
Right.
And abused women. People don't know what housing resources, what emergency services, et cetera. So this could really be quite a robust offering to benefit the community in a number of ways.
This is where advertising would come in.
Yeah.
Because if you-
Exactly.
Because if you don't know, it's worthless,
Right,
honestly.
Well, we have 2 shelters, but we don't advertise them.
right.
Do you all know that?
FAM has 2 shelters.
We have 2 shelters.
Right.
28 beds in each one.
By the hospital, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
old hospital.
So,
Are they women? One's women and children?
no, one is, one room with 6 beds is for women only.
Okay.
And the rest are all families.
Okay, so
Or
families.
women and children, or
Okay.
even we have a couple of guys.
Okay. Is there a limit to how long they can be there, or?
The average is 69 days.
Okay.
The average has been. We don't kick them out, but we encourage them to move on.
And then you provide assistance for them getting
Absolutely,
someplace
yeah.
else? Okay.
So that would even be helpful, is to find out, and this I know is a subject near and dear to your heart, Stuart, is bridge housing solutions and what's available there. So you have this in a crisis, then what happens?
Yeah.
Right? Or, for example, you need health care and you don't know where to go. But El Camino will take care of you. And they have really some great healthcare providers in Salem and Capistrano. But people don't know about it. So there are a lot of things. I mean, a couple of us joined together because we found a veteran who, he didn't even have current glasses. He couldn't see. His dentures he lost somewhere along the way. He didn't have teeth. So he was thin. He was malnourished because he couldn't eat anything that you had to chew. He couldn't see because his glasses were so out of date. I mean, what sounds to be very simple, but we got him on his blood pressure medicine. We got him new glasses. We got him dentures, and a bunch of people chipped in and got him a car. And I mean, we made sure that he could drive and he was capable. No, I mean, we weren't
The glasses
irresponsible.
would help.
Yeah, it was an inexpensive vehicle, but we were able to do that for him.
So
But-
I'm the liaison I'm in the VFW.
Right.
I'm the liaison between FAM and the VFW, and anybody veteran comes in, we rate on them, and we sometimes ship them off to Riverside because there's housing there, free housing for veterans that's open today. The average person can't get in there, but the veteran can. So there's plenty of support services for veterans. So if you have something like that, check with the VFW here in Dana Point. We don't have a San Clemente one anymore, just Dana Point.
Thank you. So that was a happy ending.
Yeah.
But I know you do a lot of great work, and I mean, I've learned some new things today. Can you imagine everything that is available that the community doesn't know about?
As I say, we don't want to advertise the shelters.
No, we won't advertise anything
These
that's
shelters,
confidential.
people get really anxious about, the NIMBYs. Right, Donna? The NIMBYs don't want to hear shelters or anything like that.
Well, and that's where the homeless thing, I don't want it to get into something like that, where I've been to functions where they're going at each other. I don't want that. I want it, that's where I feel like it needs to be more, seniors, the whole bit, so it's not I mean, Brooke isn't too, well, I mean, a lot of people here don't like her because of all the lawsuits and stuff, So,
So make it really positive and
yeah,
constructive.
exactly. Needs to
And
be
we can
positive
talk
and
about that, what shape it will take as we move forward with the work plan. So just chew on it. Can we combine them? Do you like the idea? What would it look like and feel like? Okay? Then the resource registry, I think we've covered that sufficiently, and the fact that,
And that
you know-
can go hand in hand kind of with a lot
Yes,
of this stuff. too.
absolutely. So something user-friendly, easy to use. The overall homeless strategy, to, I think it was Victor's point, think about how to narrow down the scope and what makes sense for us to try to have input and impact on. Because there are certain things that we're not going to be able to do. If has to do with legal issues, with liability issues, and so forth, that's above our pay grade, And to Victor's point, looking at county, state, local programs is what we should be mindful of when we're looking at what we wish to add in to our homeless strategy in areas where we'd like to have impact. Because there are things where they'll say, no, that's outside of your scope. That
One thing that Victor didn't talk about is for a lot of this money to become available, it has strings attached.
Yeah.
And everyone knows about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes the strings are not worth it,
Yeah.
which is why, you know, you see other cities that say, oh yeah, well, we have to do it. We're gonna suck it up. But we haven't done that yet for a lot of things.
Right.
And I think it's, you know, for the most part, it's been a good idea. You know,
So one thing I was encouraged to hear was San Juan Capistrano is open to discussing a multi-city partnership for a shelter.
Yeah.
And there was a time a few years ago where it was a hard, fast no. But I think homelessness has changed a lot since then, as has the need. So I think cities are realizing if we don't do something, it will be handed to us. So let's have some control over it and really make it useful and robust.
I'm going to get over my skis here a second because I was at Menchie's because I came here early. I saw Dick. So I went down and I got myself an ice cream. I go, you know, what do we not want to do? I go, what are the guideposts for this group? And I just said, beyond what the city's goals are, it's like, I wouldn't want to do, in talking about the homeless issue, I wouldn't want to do anything that attracted homeless to us. And I think that would be, you know, pretty obvious for everybody. You don't do something that will bring a flood of homeless people in. And the second thing, I wouldn't want to do anything that would cause any security risk for families. So anything that we do, if it makes the community less safe, I would say we don't do it. And then the third thing is like if we all sat here and said, you know what, we should start writing speeding tickets because people are going way too fast on Pico. Well, that's not in our wheelhouse. And it's like, is human affairs the best fit? You know, that's one thing that we would look at for whatever we're doing. Is human affairs really the entity that does this, or is there some other committee, or is it the city government itself? Is it the sheriffs that would do this instead of us? So
I can say on that, this is definitely something we ran into. I think we had this exact, you know, maybe not exact word for word, but same item on our work plan when I was.
It was similar because we looked at your old work plans when we made ours.
Yeah.
So I know there's probably stuff pulled directly from it.
Sure, and I think where we run into trouble, I said this in my interview with the city council for this committee, is overstepping into the sort of area of responsibility and authority of the city council itself, you know. And so I think we kind of have to know our place in that regard. There's so much we can do, and to Victor's point about, you know, just compiling a list of what's out there, the grants that are available, the programs that are available, the schedules of feedings and things like that. Those are all things that we could very well work on just to provide the information.
Yeah.
To try to come up with an overall strategy for the council to then act on is probably beyond our purview, I would say. But maybe just to provide the information about what other cities are doing so that they can make a decision for themselves.
And that's not to say that we don't do something inaugural. That, I mean, maybe the hope is you do something and it works out so well that the city takes over. You know, that you start it, you prove it, it's a success, and then the city goes, okay, we're going to integrate this into what we do every year, or what we do, you know, all the time. So
I think that's a good point. We have to think about when you're I would encourage everyone, when you're thinking about what you'd like to incorporate into the work plan, ask ourselves as a volunteer committee serving at the will of city council in an advisory capacity, is this outside of our scope of responsibility, or is this something that's reasonable where we could have an impact? I think that those are good things to ask ourselves. Okay.
Before we go on to the next item, we had talked last year about having a presentation about a safe parking program. San Diego has several cities that have a safe parking program administered by the Jewish Family Services. And they have said that they would be willing to give a presentation to the Human Affairs Committee to see if perhaps that would be a reasonable thing for San Clemente to consider.
Does anybody have any comments on that?
I
Well,
could add-
Donna, you've presented this a few times.
Yes. So I did, I just have a few things to say about safe parking. I know in San Clemente, we have a problem with cars parked and RVs parked and oversized RVs parked. So what can we do about it? Looking at other cities, what have they done and what have they done successfully? And what could we possibly bring to San Clemente? Because as a San Clementian, as part of the San Clemente Homeless Collaborative, why I'm attending Human Affairs Committee is what can we do in San Clemente to contribute to solutions to the problem. So speaking specifically to safe parking programs, one of the ones I looked at was Jewish Family Services in San Diego. Another one that I'm exploring more, just to get their ideas. Not that we're going to replicate that, but we can take their ideas and bring it to San Clemente and make it work for us successfully. But they've got an extensive program in LA, and then Fullerton has also has had a solid safe parking program that ran out of funding, so their safe parking program ended. And part of what I see Human Affairs Committee doing is educating ourselves and then educating City Council on what is possible and what you recommend as a Human Affairs Committee. So I don't know how many in this room know about safe parking, so I'll just share a few thoughts that I've put together on that. But I think hearing a presentation from Jewish Family Services, because they're the proven experts today. They have 5 lots in San Diego, and they've just recently opened another lot in 2023. So I'll spend less than 3 minutes and just go over a few things. So safe parking, it provides meaningful resources. It provides dignified support to help individuals and families transition back into permanent housing. It provides basic needs assistance. It provides resource connections to employment, family wellness, school success, financial education, credit repair, and housing. And the goal of safe parking is to create a pathway out of homelessness while being a support to people where they are now. And people who have benefited from safe parking programs are older adults living on a fixed income who cannot afford their rent. Community college students trying to make ends meet while prioritizing their education. Families who need assistance connecting to resources due to a loss of job, unexpected medical bills, hard times, the working poor. Veterans struggling to find a job and struggling to navigate next steps. Safe parking programs offer several on-site services, including restrooms, hand washing stations, charging stations, and case management services. I talked to a local social service person who works with homeless in San Clemente, and a takeaway that I got from her was safe parking programs are vastly different than a camping lot that was previously tried in San Clemente. People are in their own spaces, in their vehicles or RVs. They come in at night, leave in the morning. It's just a place to safely sleep and way more easily controlled. It's a great way for service providers, including Carly, Troy, case management, to access them. And seniors are the fastest growing segment of the homeless population, and many live in their cars. They need a safe place to be. in a legal place, so they are not subject to citations and impounding when they lose their vehicles and are left on the street. We don't have shelters for those that land on the street. So this is also proactive in preventing homelessness. And I can tell you a personal story. A good friend of mine who I worked with, she worked for me as a professional nurse. She's a senior. She ran into difficulty affording her rent, and now she is living in her car in San Clemente. And this is somebody in their 70s who served as a nurse for maybe 40 years. And she will have a personal story to tell. She is engaging with, so I won't go into that, but seniors are a population that we do need to be proactive with and try to prevent more homelessness. So as I said, I see Human Affairs as learning about these programs that you might want to recommend to City Council. But there's a lot of work to do. Cord, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I have a comment on that. I think it fits well into this category of the overall the work plan that we're discussing right now. And I think it brings up, an important point to what we were discussing just before about, understanding what our role is. And I think if we were to recommend to the City Council that we should do a program like this or this program, that would be different than advising the City Council that this program or a program like this exists, And so I think my opinion would be that our role is not to recommend to the council what program they should do, but just to let the council know about programs, this and others that exist, so that they can decide for themselves if it's something that they would want to implement.
One thing that we discovered last year, is a lot of these other cities have changed their ordinances in regards to RVs, which has forced them all our way because our ordinances are not the same. So I know council is working on changing that stuff.
Right, they already did.
They're still working on it.
On it.
Yeah, it didn't get
State
approved.
laws changed too, though.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
There's a lot, it's a
State
new
laws
So we
just
have-
changed.
We have so many more RVs than any other city because they've kind of forced them all our way. But then the other thing, kind of with the safe parking lot, is where do they go during the day?
That, I was gonna ask that.
It's a safety issue. Then they're out on the streets basically, and that's one thing that
It's a
we got.
safety-
Yeah,
it's a
safety.
sanitary issue. It's
So I could speak to that, but let's let the people that have run successful programs speak to that. We can ask them questions. How do you transition the people that are living in their cars and RVs into bridge housing, employment? So I'm not a professional in this, but maybe we can ask those questions of people that can answer that intelligently.
So I have a question, maybe some of you can remember. Was this brought up at City Council and did they vote no?
Yeah, they voted no. Yeah.
That was in the past, and the City Council was changed since then.
It's still. I don't know. Well, I mean,
There's no reason it can't be on a work.
Sure, and then they can decide.
Yeah, let them decide, yeah, let's put it on the work order, the work thing.
So, Janet, can we agendize at the next meeting, having them come present?
Perfect.
Yeah.
JFS, I'm sorry.
Yes, please. Stuart
So-
has the contact information.
I do, and they can do it via a Zoom, and I've already checked with Tamara. She said, yes, we can accommodate that.
what was that?
I can do things.
No, I just heard was that to
You're a
Zoom?
Zoom expert.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can Zoom them in for a presentation.
Okay, great. So let's agendize that for the next meeting. And Don, if you want to come, so you can comment? Okay, sure. Alrighty, so the next project for your consideration, I feel like it's Academy Award nomination. For your consideration, a mentorship program, which Rick has already volunteered you for, Tyler, so I hope you want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
But a day in the life, it's a fantastic idea. It never got a foothold with the last group. So something to consider and whether you'd like to be involved in it. So
Yeah, and I can say, just to comment on that, just kind of serendipitously, another member of Rotary in the San Clemente Sunrise Rotary Club is involved with the auto shop program at the high school. They have a very good mentorship program already existing. So basically, I've been working on it with the chamber for a couple of years, and it doesn't have legs in this capacity yet, but this is kind of same kind of thing that you guys have written up in the same vein as
because we
having some sort of
had
mentorship.
people approach a number of, Rosemary, you had a bunch of businesses that were interested.
Running it just didn't take off with it.
So there were some other people that didn't take the next steps, and I'm not finger pointing at all, but I think there are a lot of receptive businesses that would really enjoy participating in this program and give our teens an idea of something that they might be interested in, whether it's auto shop or one of the other trades or retail.
Has this happened already?
No,
Okay.
that's what I was just saying.
I think it's a catchy name, but I mean, can we do more than one day?
I don't
Well,
think
no,
the text. I don't think it says that. I think a day in the life is more of a.
It's more a program for like a year.
A whole
They
year?
mentor- Yeah.
Okay.
We can
They
define
skip around
it.
We can define
We
it.
can
Okay.
say, okay, you get to pick 3 different things that you try for 8 weeks each, or whatever. We can define all of it, whatever work group takes it on.
Yeah.
And then we can go to businesses, the high school, and so forth, and dovetail with what exists. And Tyler clearly is a brain trust on that.
We're gonna get. I think we should get input from the businesses as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
point.
Exactly.
If I
Like I
do-
had a doctor and he's bilingual and he said he could help them and just basically what classes they need to take, help them kind of colleges, what they need to do for that. They kind of just, follow and they can come in and kind of help them in this business. So
Yeah.
And we had another company that does advertising that
yeah, I was
said
really looking for
they can help do some marketing and some advertising and see if that might be interesting. So I think there are a lot of different businesses and ideas for the trades and other kinds of things like retail and marketing and so forth.
If you're a punk high schooler, this is good to put on your resume too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Well, it certainly isn't know how to do e-bike yoga.
Yeah.
So, so
and it's a great opportunity for partnership, just with
Absolutely.
organization, the community,
I love it.
chamber,
Exactly.
and one.
Exactly.
I can think of the Noble Path Foundation, who
Yeah.
actually has a
I love the Noble Path.
event happening this
and you're
Thursday.
really involved with them.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it's just a good opportunity for partnership here. So
Good.
this was maybe the main reason I joined this committee. So
Kids have been hidden away from the real world
For too long.
for 2 years,
Yeah.
and to get them back out into the real world and see the way the real business world works or doesn't work
Yeah,
is
exactly.
really good.
Yeah.
Super
Well, the nice
important.
thing too is some of this can evolve into paid work when they're old enough to have a work permit.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they're working 15 hours a week, making some money, and then they learn about money management and saving for something that they want or putting money away for, a rainy day, what have you. So there's a lot of good things that can come from this. Okay, so again, for your consideration. And last but not least, 2 more things. Every 15 minutes, and I will talk about that at the next meeting, but again, this was at the high school not submitting for the funding until the funding was gone. So we have Councilmember Enmeyer this year that can help make that happen immediately, which will be huge. And then last but not least, the San Clemente High School Humanitarian Award and mentoring. I think last year it wasn't as promoted as we would have liked, and the individuals that worked on this subgroup didn't see enough applicants. So again, promoting this at the high school could be huge, and maybe, Rosemary, we even do something in the high school newspaper
Right.
and write an article and promote it to secure applicants.
Are these all considered ongoing, or is this something that we're going to be voting on?
We're gonna
before
vote on it.
October?
Yeah,
Okay.
We're going to vote on it at our next meeting. So to reiterate,
Are we going to
This-
all come in with a guesstimate of what the estimated project cost should be, and then we can average it?
why not? Because we asked for money before, and we had this whole budget column, and then we were told, well, you don't have a budget, and we went, well, why'd you give it a budget? Why do we get a budget column on the worksheet then? Like, that's a takeaway that we didn't like. Don't take away that money. So in any case, to reiterate, the items that we just went through, please save this. This is from last year. For the next meeting, please bring your 3 to 5 items that you would like to work on or that you're proposing for inclusion in the work plan, we're going to discuss all of them. And then we'll vote on them and we can force rank them in terms of priority. And then we'll take that straw man work plan to city council once we do our work on it. And we should be in good shape to do that at our next meeting. So we're going to really sit down and hash it out, discuss it, get into some granularity, prioritize it, and then we can move forward.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the Human Affairs Committee still tasked with approving community development block grants or social service grants?
Two of us were asked to be sitting on the committee
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. I just wonder, because I know that was a practice before, I wonder if that deserves being put on the work plan just so that it's
Bring it. Perfect.
acknowledged, you know,
Bring it,
that is part of the
please.
work. Okay.
That would be great. And then we can talk about who the two people are that get to be involved in the discussions during this term.
Sounds good.
Good? Okay. So we've already covered B as part of that discussion. 5C, discussion of supporting letter for Partners for Wellness banning flavored tobacco to be sold in San Clemente.
Actually, that's a moot point because Senate Bill 793 passed to make it illegal to be sold.
Perfect.
Flavored tobaccos.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's X that off. Community
Want to see
resource.
this, Stuart? I don't know if you.
Well, I knew it was a law. Partners for Wellness was one of the presenters at our resource fair. Just approached me and said, would you support this letter? And I brought it to the committee to see what the committee thought. And what they were saying is that even though it's illegal, it's still being made available under the counter at some places. And so they were looking for the city to help prevent that from happening. But I didn't know if that actually is true. And I haven't done any research.
So you haven't gone in your dark glasses and your stocking cap and said, hey, you got any strawberry
Pretend that
bubblegum
I'm a
uniform?
So Stuart, you were contacted by a law firm that is sending out cease and desist notices to businesses in San Clemente who are still selling it illegally.
Okay.
So they sent us a letter with the names of those businesses.
Oh, good. Okay.
Great. Okay, so it's already being taken care of.
They've
Yeah.
done their under
Okay,
paperwork.
great.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Being enforced.
excellent. Okay, so we have what we're going to be doing in preparation for our next meeting, and let's move on to, we've already talked about community resource fair as part of our work plan and what that could look like or feel like, and some ideas around that, and then everybody can bring their input at the next meeting. So 6A, new business, nomination, selection of Human Affairs Committee Chair and Vice Chair.
Well, I think since you do such a great job, you should continue next year. So I nominate Miss Lisa.
And I second the nomination.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Do we have anybody else who'd like to be chair?
I was going to nominate myself, but I don't know anything, so I'm going to take myself off the table.
Okay, let's take it to vote. Cord Bauer?
Aye.
Stuart?
Oh, for you?
Yes.
Oh, aye.
Thank you. Or somebody else, if you could, Mickey Mouse, whatever feels good. Rosemary? Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I'm really humbled. Okay. Nominees for vice chair. I'd like to nominate Rosemary Salas.
Second.
Okay. Anybody else as vice chair?
No.
No? Okay. Vote, Cord?
Aye.
Dr. Stu?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
And I'm aye. Thank you. Unanimously carries. Welcome, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Excellent. So consideration and development of the 2023-2024 work plan. Again, to reiterate it, action item is, and Tamara or Janet, could you please share this summary with Jill Schechter so that I don't have a Brown Act violation? And share last year's work plan with Jill and the direction that at the next meeting we're to bring our top 3 to 5 items that we would like to put on the work plan for the year. And if she has any questions, to please call me, but include this as an attachment for her. Or can I just call her since it's just one person?
You can
Okay,
You can
perfect.
How do you want?
Okay, so, but can you send her the attachment or send me the attachment and I'll forward it and then I'll call her and
She
follow
has that
up?
work plan. That was part of all the meeting material she
Came
has.
Oh, good, it was on the attachment.
Yes.
Oh, it was
Perfecto.
attached, and there's also a link, you can find all of that, just so you know.
Thank you.
For any meeting going back, however long you wanna go, you can go on the website
Okay,
under Human Affairs, and all the meeting packets are there. So you can always pull up all that fun stuff.
excellent, thank you.
One other thing I was talking to Andy Hall about is, what are you guys' thoughts on doing some type of program for these e-bikes and these Surons? Someone's gonna get killed. And I was thinking maybe, doing a mass mailer, because don't we mail out like gas bills or phone, or not phone, but what does the city mail out to everyone?
The water bills.
Water bills. I mean, I just feel like, number one, those Surons are illegal. And how many people realize they're illegal? And they're buying them for their kids, right?
I don't think people
I don't think
necessarily know they're
people-
not street
and
legal.
then, maybe list some of these things, with pictures, what these kids are doing. I mean,
So what-
Public safety?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's on the public safety.
Yeah,
Oh, it is,
committee.
okay.
E-bikes is public safety committee
Okay,
work plan,
okay.
but if that is something that you guys wanna consider, maybe as part of your due diligence, you check with someone from the public safety committee or pull up their work plan online to see if
Okay.
it's on there.
Okay.
The other
I just feel like the parents, social media does not reach that many people. I just feel like the majority of the people in the city just have no clue what's going on.
Well, and if you go on Nextdoor and people just say, oh, somebody ran the light and I almost hit them, that's not
You're right.
really addressing the core needs. Maybe an idea is even to find out when public safety is going to be discussing it. We could even show up as, concerned members of Human Affairs and see, put our 2 cents worth in and see, if we could work cross-functionally or cooperatively. I don't know, just an idea. Why are you laughing?
Now.
And then I guess my.
Oh, that's right, that's why Rick left.
Right. And my other question would be, do the schools, I guess, monitor these Surons that are being driven to school that are illegal? I mean, are they,
I know, just talking to one of the sheriffs, this is totally
Yeah.
out of line, but one of the sheriffs, they did several community info, whatever, and they are now, just like in the last week, I'm gonna say, enforcing,
okay,
and they're citing and fining and also
Taking.
taking.
yeah.
So they are actively on the hunt. And I only brought it up with the sheriff because I saw a guy turn in and drive right in front of me, and I'm like, you didn't have a plate or anything. So, yeah.
California's looking at making e-bikes not available under 12.
Right,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That too.
And then you have to do a class to ride them and stuff as well.
And then when they confiscate them, our Ryan, our public safety officer, who's retired LAPD and very, very sharp, and he's also working with neighborhood watches in communities that want to adopt a more robust neighborhood watch program. They actually go to the parent's home and say, we've confiscated your child's e-bike or Suron. Here's how you can get it back. These are the steps. Here are the costs, blah, blah, blah. Just to let you know. Very interesting. He and I talked about it, and because I had a yoga guy doing a
Yeah.
headstand on his Suron in front of my car, screaming at me, flipping me off. And I was like, I almost hit you. You would have died.
I know.
I don't think you appreciate the talent.
No, I appreciated it.
That is a talent.
I said those are mad skills, but not in the Starbucks parking lot. In any case, he said that receptivity from parents runs about 50-50. So sometimes the parents are really involved. Thank you so much. Little Johnny, why did you do that? And then other situations are, oh, it's okay. We'll just get you.
I
a
wrote
new one."
today, I think you need to separate between, I mean, there's a bad apple or bad few apples, and then there's the Surons, which are clearly illegal, and then there's the e-bikes, which give the kids freedom.
Right.
And if they use the rules of the road, more power to them. I love to see the kids get out. I'd love San Clemente to be, the city that's known for all the things you can do outside rather than, cooped up in front of your
And there's great
computer.
kids that happen to use e-bikes.
Yeah.
Right?
So the distinction needs to be
Right.
clearly made,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to educate parents because kids aren't doing
So that's something to think about is public safety and how we could maybe share some ideas.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a good idea. Okay,
Just another point on item B. I
Yes.
just wanted to mention, other than the CDBG approvals, which I'll bring as part of my list, the only other thing that I plan to bring as part of my list is something I've been thinking about a lot, which is related to some work that the Rotary clubs have done over the past couple decades, which is called the Character Counts program. So if you know North Beach, there's a mural down there. It was first done about 20 years ago, and the Sunrise Rotary Club just redid it last year. So now
Oh, it turned out so pretty.
yeah, it's really
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Josh Paskowitz was kind of lead on putting that together, so it's really good.
I
So
mean, it wasn't Bandit.
it wasn't Bandit, no. So in light of some of the things that have happened in our community recently, it seems like a program like this would be really beneficial to our community. I'm thinking specifically of the incident that happened down at the pier. I think that we just need to instill not only in our children but in all of ourselves those 6 pillars, the Character Counts pillars. So that's just one thing that I'm going to bring sort of conceptually to the meeting. I'm glad, I guess, that I have more time because I can start to develop the idea a little bit more. Because the question is, where does it get implemented, at what educational level, and how, and at what cost? And in terms of cost, I think I could probably convince the Rotary clubs to be involved in our covering some costs or all costs on that. So just wanted to mention it. If you have any ideas or thoughts on it, I just think it's something that's already kind of core to our community, and I just kind of want to bring it back. So.
So something
that would be
else that I saw that is an offshoot to that is there a community mural painting project where the community found, and it was an impoverished community, and there was a lot of graffiti and a lot of street art. And so they had one of the popular street artists, and that's why I was joking about Bandit, put together a mural drawing, and the community came out and painted it in a whole area. And it was a big, huge mural, and it stayed spotless
That's awesome.
because there was community ownership and people cared. So it sounds a little bit corny, but maybe something to think about at minimal cost. It might be a fun community project for the Human Affairs Committee.
Yeah, and Character Counts outside of the mural is a full-on program with curriculum and there's ways that different communities around the country implement it however they choose. And San Clemente formerly had it implemented at elementary schools and at the high school where kids would go through the program, they'd earn a certificate, they'd be recognized for displaying the 6 pillars of character. So there's a full-on curriculum, and we can decide
that's
at what
fantastic.
level we want to participate.
We
and
need to
stuff.
get back to that, yeah. Again, like 2 years, our kids have been away from everything,
There will definitely be some hiccups this year and the upcoming years, and these kids, this is going to follow them for the rest of their lives. I recognize it in my kids, and it's depressing to think, in some instances, what they're going through in relation to what I was doing when I was their age. And
And Cord, it's not even kids. There are a lot of adults. I mean, look at the keyboard courage that people use on social media to excoriate total strangers. And I don't want to fight with a total stranger. And when did it become not okay to have a difference of opinion and still respect someone? You and I can have a conversation and have a difference of opinion, shake hands afterwards, walk out the door, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rip your face off.
Right.
Even though I could use words to rip your face off, but to what end?
Yeah, where's the win?
Yeah, there's no win. So in any case,
It
alrighty, well,
amazes me how kids don't know how to communicate face to face. That's the one thing I notice. I mean, they call each other, everything's texting. And it's like they pull up in front of a house and there's no parents meeting each other anymore. It's
I got
crazy.
a story for you. Later.
so one thing, Noble Path that Tyler talked about, they do some incredible work, and one of the things that they did was a whole segment on don't just text
Yeah.
and don't just play video games. Here's how you interact with people.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially if you work with any younger folks and they're 20 feet from your desk, yet they're texting you, and I stand up and walk over and say, why exactly are we not having a conversation? So it's very interesting, the stylistic differences, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so this is 6C. I alluded to this earlier, but this is so you all have it in your calendars. So council approved the first reading of the ordinance to establish a new meeting schedule, so we're meeting monthly. The second reading is going to take place at the August 15th City Council meeting, and it's going to go into place formally on September 14th and be implemented September 14th, 2023. And that will be monthly meetings of the Human Affairs Committee, and it's the third Tuesday of the month.
We have a meeting on August 8th, according to our little calendar.
Oh, well, let me look at our calendar.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's interesting. Okay. So August 8th is our
I think
next
that's
meeting.
fine.
Second Tuesday of the
Plan to
month.
do that.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. And that's why you were a good anesthesiologist.
That way we will not conflict with public safety.
Indeed.
Technical term is
Oh, did
gas
you-
That
passer.
means the September
Is
meeting.
what?
Gas passer.
All I know is if you want somebody really fun at a party, you invite an anesthesiologist. Okay, so our next meeting, right, Stuart? Our next meeting is August 8th. Excellent.
Okay.
So oral and written communication, do we have any additional comments?
I will just say
Don't have a
thank
dream?
you for making me feel welcome today.
You're always
I will
welcome.
look forward to working collaboratively with Human Affairs, both as the San Clemente Homeless Collaborative, as a Kiwanian, and as a Rotarian.
A Kiwanian, that's a heck of a mouthful.
Youth activities, yes.
Excellent. Well, we also welcome community volunteers to participate in our activities. So as we finalize our work plan, if there are things that you're passionate about that you'd like to join and participate in, we'd love to have the extra hands and the extra brains.
Community volunteers, that's my responsibility with the Rotary Club of San Clemente. So
right.
let's just work together.
Excellent. Love it.
Lisa, can I back you up to the
Yes.
meetings? Where's the location? Where would you guys like to meet? Would you like to? Okay.
So, on that question, maybe the reason that Janet asked the question is because at the last meeting that I attended as a guest, we discussed whether we could have meetings that are a little bit more accessible for viewers. Because right now it's just recorded and posted, I think, on YouTube, just the audio recording.
Oh, do you mean city council chambers?
Well, I don't. I think what my opinion would be is if it takes more effort from staff, we should probably not do it. But it would definitely make it easier for people to watch. So,
Well, it brings some gravitas.
I
If we're
personally
filmed.
have a face for radio, so I'm not ready for
Could we potentially, I think we were talking about city council chambers, weren't we?
So there's
Yes.
two things. There's having the location, physically meeting there, and then having it videoed. So IT is not able to videotape.
Sure. So that would really defeat the purpose of
Is there a
having it
meeting
there.
there? Then, yeah.
So we might as well be here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So that, okay, never mind.
That's what counts.
So our those of us that have faces for
This is
radio,
good to stay on
are,
radio.
we're still in good shape.
Tyler has a face for the video, but sorry, Tyler.
Sorry, Tyler.
Past the elevator.
You made him blush.
And it's around the left.
Okay, so this is us. This is our meeting room.
All right.
Excellent. And then may I also ask Tamara or Janet, the Friday before the meeting, is it possible for you to send out a text to all of the committee members as a reminder? Because people have glitches in their email all the time and don't realize there's a meeting.
Technically, I normally do
Mhm.
that as a courtesy, but I don't feel comfortable making that a policy because that opens you up to your personal devices being subpoenaed if anything should ever come up. So like even public records requests, we often get them to where they even ask for communications. And if I'm using my personal device to contact your personal device, it extends.
Well, am I allowed to send, I don't mind. There's nothing on my device that isn't discoverable or that I'm afraid of. If anybody ever did a PRA, am I allowed to send out a reminder
To your people,
to everybody on the committee?
But then it opens all of us up, right?
Yeah.
it
Well,
opens
you,
everybody up.
Well-
you can't communicate to all of us at the same time. You can communicate to him and then to her and then me.
Well, but it's not,
Maybe a daisy chain you could.
no, that's not true. That's a daisy chain under Brown Act.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
changed
But-
Brown Act?
yeah.
So Brown Act used to be
But,
that way.
but Brown Act involves discussing city business. I don't know that a meeting notification, date and time,
That's city business.
That's city business. Yeah.
okay, so
So
here's
I
a
think
question.
The committee just needs to be aware
Yeah.
that there will be a meeting notice that goes out. It goes, it gets posted, It goes on our website. We send a meeting reminder with everything on there, so just know a week before the meeting, check your emails.
It'll be published on the Thursday before.
Okay.
Okay. There's just always somebody
If
that
not
misses
before.
it and they text me and say, oh, I didn't know we had a meeting. But that's okay.
This
I
group
was-
won't.
I was just trying to avoid that. Okay.
Text that person.
I will. That's a good point. That's not a Brown Act violation.
All right.
Okay, excellent. Any communication from committee members? Anybody have anything else they'd like to surface or discuss? Staff, do you have anything for? Oh, Tyler?
I'm sorry, I have something just Rotary related. It's top of my mind. So obviously super involved in Rotary, and our county Rotary is called the district. So there's a county Rotary organization. So somebody comes in as the leader every year, and the guy who just came in as the leader this month, he's proposing that the County of Orange put on Service Club Month in September. And so I just wanted to make it known that the Kiwanis and the Lions Club and the Elks Club and the Rotary Club, we would all be a part of that. All those clubs would be a part of it if it were to be addressed. And I think the county supervisors are going to make it official. And I might even personally try to get the city council to do something publicly about September Service Club Month, just to kind of promote Service Club. So,
And I think
thought
a
it
bunch
was
of us here are Elks too, so,
that's Service Club. Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, so just wanted to make it known. Yeah,
Oh, that's
for that.
fantastic.
So is
Okay.
a service club people going out and doing services for the community? Is that what that is?
Generally, yes. Yeah. Yeah, Service Club. Yeah.
So like can you get trash along the roads, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, are you familiar with Rotary?
I know what it is.
Nonprofit organizations that
Yeah.
provide services to the community.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be community, it could be regional, it could be international, of any type. But
Like,
yeah.
for example, Elks do fundraising for
All kinds of
a
stuff.
lot of different things, but healthcare needs, people living below the poverty line,
Seniors.
seniors.
Vaccination, eradication of smallpox.
Very, yeah.
My question, I'm sorry.
They're a charity club with a drinking problem.
My comment.
We're a drinking club with a charity problem.
My
Oh,
question,
that's right.
my question wasn't what are the clubs, but are you talking about providing services that are being provided? I mean, you're talking about
good point.
projects,
Yes.
about doing projects.
So if we, I mean, truthfully, the goal of this is just to spread awareness about the fact that these service clubs are out there and that people in the community can join them. if they
That
want.
was my question. Okay, got it.
That's the goal, and but in doing it, or in an effort to make that happen, I think the goal would be to get service clubs to come probably to a city council meeting and share with the public what they do. Like what
Because
their
people don't
problem is.
know.
Yeah, because people don't know.
Right. I mean, I don't,
I invited-
sorry, Donna, I don't know the difference between Kiwanis and Rotary and what the differences are with what you do.
It's okay. One's better.
Come to the next
No, I'm just
city
kidding.
council meeting, so, and we'll announce what Kiwanians do.
See, and I'm Kiwanian, I just like that name.
I invited Rotary to come to our resource fair, and I've never gotten any response back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, burned, you just burned Rotary, no, I'm only teasing.
Kiwanians provide a group, a golf group, that paid the $1,200 to play in the fan golf tournament. The Exchange Club pays $1,200 and provides four people. Rotary has never participated.
Whoa!
That's a fact.
Oh for
Do
two.
better, Tyler.
But we do donate to family every year, so
You do it, donate to that.
yeah. So that's like
Lisa, can we go back to the meeting schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
So the monthly ordinance won't be in effect for the September meeting, the second Tuesday. So do you guys want to pick another day after the ordinance becomes effective? Like the following week?
Yes.
So council meets on the 5th and the 19th.
Right,
So I don't know.
and they're not doing it till the 19th, are they?
The ordinance will be in effect on September 14th, so it'll be that Thursday.
Okay, so why don't, with
Start in
everybody's
October.
agreement, I don't know why some of these meetings are on Mondays. Tuesdays are better.
No, ours
They're
are
all
all Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
Ours are
We're
just the
pink.
pink ones.
We're the pink.
Oh, pink, I'm sorry,
Green is holidays.
thank you. So it's always good to read the key.
Six.
So why don't we do, what about Tuesday, September
Chambers, right?
Tuesday, September 12th?
That's,
No, too early.
Wait, I don't remember the date that you said. I got caught up in colors.
14.
14th.
So the
So
ninth.
that's-
So the 19th?
That's a council meeting,
Oh,
if that's relevant, I don't know. if you
I think a
guys are
lot of us
meeting
like
in
to go to
here.
council
Yeah.
meetings. Well,
Keep it short,
yeah, we could do short and sweet.
but the next meeting's not gonna be short.
Yeah, 'cause we got-
Well, the next meeting is
August 8th.
August 8th. That's when we're gonna hash out the work plan.
We got 2 weeks to.
So actually, that's August 8th. So,
Oh, I thought we weren't having an August 8th.
Well, the August is the already scheduled meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
we were talking about the September meeting because that could be the meeting where we give city council our work plan, right, Cecilia?
Yeah, because then there'll be I mean, you probably will need 2 meetings to finalize your work plan. And then we'll need to get it on the next council agenda, which would be October, for the council to review.
October 3rd or the 17th.
What if we did the first Tuesday in September?
Well, that's before they've approved the monthly,
Okay.
unless we call it as a special meeting.
19th,
19th or the 26th.
or wait till the 10th of October.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
But we already have, yeah, so then we're missing September entirely. And then we have the inability to present our work plan to city council if we don't meet in September.
What
we
about
meet earlier?
26th
Can we do the 19th?
Or the 26th?
Well, they're not gonna present it till the 17th of October anyway, so,
Can they just
right?
do a special?
Well, we have to present it to them first, and
Yeah,
then
we
they,
can just do a special meeting.
Special meeting.
Just call a special meeting.
Probably just a special meeting
On
on.
the 12th?
And do it on your normal, the
Yeah.
12th.
let's do the 12th special meeting.
Okay.
Same time, same place.
Same
Yeah.
bat time, same bat channel. Okay. And then when are we presenting the work plan to city council?
There's October 3rd or October 17th.
Okay, so if we have the special meeting on September 12th,
We can do it by the 3rd.
we'll work on it on the 8th, we'll have it polished up and cleaned up on the 12th, and ready to go to council. Because when's the council meeting? 19th?
The 3rd or the
Third to
17th.
17th.
Third of the
Oh,
October.
so,
October.
Of October, though.
oh, so the 3rd, we could
Yeah.
present it on the
Yeah,
3rd. So what I'd ask is, last year we were all ready, Stuart, you were there. We were all ready to answer questions if they had any.
Yeah.
And they moved it right over,
They approved it.
they approved it as is because we really tightened it up and we made it very abundantly clear. And they supported it. But just in case they have questions, if a couple of us could show up to that city council meeting on the 3rd,
Yeah.
that would be great. Chances are it's going to be so tight and so well done that they won't, but just in case. Hedge our bets, okay?
Wow.
And then I'd like to draw your attention to the contact information, cell phone numbers.
Make sure they're all right.
And
Yes.
there's our staff contact on there too, if anybody needs to get a hold of them.
That's good.
Oh, actually, my cell phone number is incorrect.
Okay.
Uh-oh, Tyler.
Tyler, you're just
I
batting a
almost
thousand.
got out of it.
Okay, what's yours?
It's
want anyone